Okay, greetings. I'm going to see if I can quickly respond to Barklord, who had posted up a video on Epictetus and was asking about the Enchiridion. And I want to say first, I really did enjoy the video. I think there are some ambiguities and tensions in ancient Stoicism. One is on emotions, and I've talked about that in some other videos. But I also think that this issue that Barklord's hit upon is a pretty significant one. That is, if the Stoic tradition suggests that tranquility or peace of mind comes from first understanding the distinction between what's under your power and what's not under your power, and then putting all of your time and energy into what's under your power, and then completely giving up on what's outside of your power, well, it does become somewhat interesting to ask questions about the forms or the social structures there that lead some people to have more and other people to have less. And so is there wiggle room for resistance, or is there wiggle room for changing the kind of inequality that comes with social structure? And I do think the one that you cited there, Barklord, number 39, especially about, toward the end, he says, and just as with the shoe, if you once go beyond the foot, your shoe puts on gilding and soon purple and embroidery, for once you go beyond the measure, there is no limit. And this, I think, is maybe the way to try to come at it, that the Stoics aren't advocating a do what other people tell you. It's not like that at all. It's not the notion that other people have the authority and the prerogative to assign you your lot in life. The notion is more that there's what they call the fates or destiny, that you were destined to fall into a certain lot, and that is, your task is to accept that and to do your best at that. And there was a notion of each person having to recognize their position in life. And the task was to recognize it and then to live up to that. And it's very different than, I think, our notion of like authority and permission. We sometimes talk about parents and, are parents being permissive or not? Are they too permissive? I mean, even the expression permissiveness would be problematic for the Stoics. I think what they would want to say is, look, it's not in your authority to permit others to do things or to forbid them to do things. Each person has certain things under their control and other things that are outside of their control, and it's by recognizing that orderliness in the world that peace of mind can be attained or actively sought after. The passage that I would encourage you to look at, or maybe to resonate with in terms of your question, was number 17. Number 17 here, it says, remember that you are an actor in a play, and the playwright chooses the manner of it. If he wants it short, it is short. If long, it is long. If he wants you to act a poor man, you must act the part with all your powers. And so, if your part be a cripple or a magistrate or a plain man, for your business is to act the character that is given you and act it well. The choice of the cast is another's. Okay, now this is the crucial issue here. The choice of the cast is another's. I think in the ancient world it really did seem as if your lot was thrown by fates at birth. And now admittedly, Epictetus was freed up. He had such a mastery over Stoicism that his master did eventually free him, and he became a freed slave, and he did live with a woman, and I think they adopted a boy, and he did, so his lot actually changed. And so the way that I've in my own writing tried to have addressed some of this is, whereas and I do think, I've talked about this in other videos, I do think that one can argue, and Martha Nussbaum argues this, that some of the civil rights activism can find its roots or traces its roots all the way back to the Stoic orientation. Now, so it's not as if, there isn't social change on the horizon. I mean, in fact, Epictetus's, one of his teachers, Musonius Rufus, had written a famous paper in the ancient world, which was titled, "Should Even Women Study Philosophy?" And he advocated it, and it was known that the Aristotelians did not allow women in their academy, but the Stoics openly welcomed both slaves and women. And they would say that, see, part of this problem, how do I get it? Part of this problem of one's lot in life is, rather than seeing it as, something that is simply, and this is for us today in the modern world, how we can appropriate it, rather than trying to think of what's under control and what's not under control as simply being that one's office is outside of one's control, and one's intention and one's will is inside of one's control, what you do is you start to set up an orientation toward time, and what you do is you say, everything in the past is outside of my control. It's everything in the past. It's already happened, and it's always good to begin by accepting what has happened. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't try to change things in the future. The future is somewhat outside of my control as well, but that present, which cuts into the future, the actual sort of elongated, stretching present that's reaching into the future, that is where my control rests. And so it's almost like, I think it's a tension that some people find too difficult to achieve, but once you have gotten into the right mindset here and you get geared into it, I think here's the way to sort of think about it. What you do is you actively try to change social conditions, fully realizing that it may never happen. See, I think many people don't even want to get involved in trying to bring about social justice unless they have some assurance that it's going to come about, right? So there's a psychological defense. It's like a cognitive dissonance that comes in against why try to fight City Hall if you're just going to lose? And the Stoics might say, that's right, don't pick battles where you can't win. But I think they would say you can win every battle you're in if you approach it in the right way. You actively try to change the world. Epictetus perhaps tried to educate himself to such a degree that he would be free. And then when his master said, okay, you are free, now that really wasn't under his control, but to accept what happens as, okay, now this is my new lot. And so you can try to move, but the ultimate decision of whether it's successful or not will be in others. That is, you don't actually have control over your own fate, your own destiny. No matter how much you do have control over your trying and your effort in your direction in that destiny, you could have a lightning bolt strike you down mid-protest. You could be there actively trying to, again, really change existing social orders and the kind of inequalities that come from it, and you could get mowed down by a bus. But for the Stoics, if you were intending to try to bring about social justice, but your intention wasn't to actually bring it about, but the attempt was to try to bring it about, you can't lose. See, I think if you put the goal in yourself that's really beyond you, you will exceed proper limits, and you will feel lack of harmony, stress, all kinds of, I guess what we're going to say is not tranquility or peace of mind. The Stoic sage isn't someone who simply, again, accepts his or her lot. I mean, you want to understand, Marcus Aurelius was one of the other famous proponents of Stoicism. He was a ruler of Rome, and he advanced battles. He had things that he wanted to bring about. He wanted to expand his rule, wanted to gain, I guess, certain things within the prerogative of a ruler, but even there, it has to do with the psychological orientation of, it's like the athlete. The athlete is always the best example. You try your best to win. Now, if you didn't win, but you gave it your best, you really did succeed. The only failure for the Stoic is the athlete who tries half-heartedly and then pretends that he's more concerned with his own performance than the outcome, but really is only concerned with the outcome. So the athlete who gives a half-hearted effort and then wins is just as despicable as the athlete who I guess works really hard and then is upset when he doesn't win. The point would be that it's the effort and the the willful attempt that is the only thing that really is in your power. And I think what they would say is that the task is to see the kind of harmony that willful effort brings to the cosmos. That is, the cosmos is such that it has put within human jurisdiction this capacity to discern what's under your power and what's not under your power. And many people, they feel a kind of sickness of soul because they've literally neglected so much that is under their power, and right now they're actively pursuing and they're worried about things that are literally beyond their control. Okay, hope that helped a little bit. Enjoyed your video. Thanks.